So I recently upgraded my lights out kit. I put these 3 little outlets right here and an AC adapter, and I figured I'd show you that, and while I'm doing that, I'll just go through what's in this kit as well. I added this battery right here, which is a 20 amp hour Life PO4 battery, and with this battery in here, I wanted to be able to power things and keep this separate, so I put this little piece of wood. I've got the build that I did in another video as well. But I made sure I could power all of this stuff with this. This right here, it's got a switch where it shuts off. That way it doesn't take too much, it doesn't drain the power out. It's got this right here, it's a voltmeter. Tells you 13.9, which is fully charged. It should be 13.6 or 13.4. Not sure why that's so high, but this has got 2 USB 3.0 ports, and it's also got a car cigarette lighter outlet right here. So with those right there, with that car cigarette outlet, I've got this 300 watt pure sine wave inverter. Now with this, this outlet right here is only good for 10 amps, so 120 watts. And then when you plug this in right here, it will power this on, but you can't put anything more than 120 watts in here. So if you wanted to, put some tablets or something like that, even though I've got a couple over here, plug a light bulb in, something like that, it's going to work fine with that. And then as far as charging it over here, I've got this small trickle charger right here, which is only 2 amps, so it takes, for this battery, it's only about 8 hours, but it takes forever. And with this, you just plug it in to the side right there. You would plug this into an outlet to keep this topped off. Every couple months or so, take this out and top it off. So that is nice and convenient right there as well for charging. With this little outlet right here, up here, I've got this light. This is a Goal Zero light, and basically it's just a small little light. Say you're doing something in front of this lights out kit, you're trying to read something, you could do that with this light right here from this USB port. One thing I don't have in this kit that we used to is instructions. When the kids used to live here, we had instructions on here about where the procedures binder is, which has all the important information about how to use the generator, what to do in certain emergencies, and all of those things, important phone numbers and all of that. But since the kids are gone, it's just me and Lisa, and we're both on the same page with preparedness. It's not as necessary, although I probably should still have something like that in there, just in case there's somebody else here and we're not here. So at any rate, you could use this light. Say you have that sheet in there, this light right here, put it on the table and they could read and figure everything out. Got a Sharpie in here. I also have playing cards in here, which in a disaster situation, maybe not the best game to play. Talking about doomsday scenarios and disaster scenarios. But in a lights out situation where the power's out for 8 to 10 hours or even just a few hours, this might be something cool because it poses some questions in here and gets people to think. So it may broach that subject of preparedness and get people thinking about it while you're in that situation. So that's why I have those in there. Also in here, I have this headlamp right here, which is a really cool headlamp. It can be moved in different positions. It's got this clip so you can put it on your shirt or wherever, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a headlamp. What I like a lot about this headlamp, it's got a few different modes as well. What I like the most about this headlamp is the rechargeable battery, and this is an 18650 battery. And I've got a few different types of rechargeable batteries in here. I've got these right here, and I've also got these Energizer batteries, which are 123s, I believe they are. And these are basically the same thing as this 18650, just a little bit smaller. This is 2600 amp hours, and these are 2200 amp hours. But they both fit inside this, so there's a backup set of batteries for that. With the charging of the batteries, I have a charger in here, which is another reason why this is such a so nice to have, because this charger right here, any batteries, even though I have a bunch of rechargeable batteries that are fully charged in here, you just never know when you might need to recharge something. So with this charger, I could plug this straight into the USB port right here, take a couple of these batteries, even though these are probably already charged, throw them in here. Oh, those little ones aren't going to work. So take a couple of these batteries, throw them in here, and if anything needs to be recharged, those will recharge. So that'll work for this right here. It won't work for these. And I've also got this little charger right here, which would work for those as well. It's just a USB charger. This is this one right here is an emergency backup. It would take absolutely forever just to charge 2 batteries. So this one is much better. So there is that up here on top. I use this kit to store things that I don't want to lose. This is a perfect example of that. So with this pack light right here, this little top part is the flashlight basically, and you turn this on and it's got the little light right there, and then it's got the high right there. Not the greatest, brightest flashlight in the world, but it is pretty convenient and it is pretty small, so I keep this in here. A couple of other batteries. These aren't rechargeable, but they stay in here. This is the cord for the headlamp right here. That way I don't have to necessarily use this. I can just plug that into there. I also have this power bank right here, and this is I believe it says 25,000 milliamp hours. I don't know about that. It may be pretty close because it is a pretty substantial little unit. It's got 4 solar panels right here. I've done a review on this in the past. It's decent, but it's not the greatest thing. So if you were to leave this out in the sun for a day, you'll get some juice, but it's definitely not going to refill this pack. But with that, you could take some of the energy from this and put it into this if you needed to. But this will power USB type things as well. So that stays in here. These lighters, I went back and forth on whether I wanted to keep lighters in here or not, because the last thing I want, especially when the kids were here, is them walking around the house with lighters. But again, this is not only for emergency use stuff, a power outage, but someplace I want to keep things that I just don't want to lose. And we've got lighters all over the place, but I know and we've got batteries all over the place, but I know that if I get in here, I'm gonna find something. So that's why they stay in here. Now to the contents, a little bit more of the inside stuff right here. I've got this large flashlight, which is 1500 lumens, and this sucker is bright. You take this out back and it lights up the whole area out there. Takes quite a few batteries, but I have quite a few batteries in here. And these are fully charged. That's why I keep this in here. That's why I keep this in here, because I know that if I charge them, they're not going to get used around the house. It's going to be fully charged when I go to use them. So that's why I keep them in here, out of sight, out of mind, basically. I've also got another set of little flashlights right here, little cheap flashlights. These are in here mainly because it's just a place to keep them where they're not going to get lost. So you never know in a whatever type situation how many flashlights you're going to need. I've got them all over the house, but I know that these are right here when I need them. I've also got the crank radio, which the crank is not very effective, but I suppose in an emergency it would do the trick. With this lights out kit, I've got the ability to charge it right here, and you've got the charging port back here. So the cranking aspect of this, not all that important. It's got the NOAA radio.
Some other observations, Cheyenne Fair 73.
It's got AM and FM radio. It's got the light right here. If you need to use that, it's got the light on the back right here as well. So it's, multi-purpose, and one of those things, if the power is out, the cell phones are out, you're going to want some way to get information. And this, other than ham radio, which most people don't understand how to use, this is going to be the best way to do that. So always have this tucked away in this kit, again, because it's super useful and because I don't want to lose it. I've got this little lantern right here, this Vaunt lantern, And this is good for, you know, when the power's out and you go to the bathroom, you close the door and it's pitch black in there. So this is something kind of cool to just leave in the bathroom. You close it, it turns off. You open it, it turns on. That way, you know, you've got, you know what you're doing in there basically. And again, like I was talking about earlier, the instructions, that would be something I would put in the instructions. Out here, when the power's out, the well's out, which means the plumbing is very limited to what water we have in the pressure tank. So those instructions, when it's brown, flush it down type thing, those would be in there as well. Now this now light right here is kind of cool, and I was given this to do a review on. It's a neat little light. It's got a bunch of different modes as far as brightness, and I did a video on this in the past. The reason I think this thing is really cool though is because it is the best option that I have or that I've seen as far as human generated power to get light. You don't need anything other than just pulling this cord right here. What you do is you put your foot right here and then you just pull this chain right here and it generates electricity. Or you can hook it onto a wall and then you pull that to generate electricity. 5-10 minutes, I can't remember exactly what it is, but 5-10 minutes of pulling gives you an hour or two of light depending on which setting you have it on. So this is just a very cool light that can be portable, it can be taken around, it can be put somewhere, and it can be regenerated without the need, if this battery goes dead, if all of these are dead, without the need of anything. This light is, with a little bit of muscle, with a little bit of manpower, it's going to work just fine. So this always stays in here as well. And then the last thing I have in here is this extension cord. And this extension cord isn't going to do much as far as this outlet goes. This is only 120 watts. This is overkill for that type of situation. But, you never know. If you had a lamp that you wanted 50 feet away, I suppose you could use this. This is more for one of those, I put it in here because I know where it is. I know it's brand new. I know it's not going to get damaged. I know it's not used. I know it's going to work and do what I need it to do. So that's why I keep this in here. This could be something that you hook up to the car. You hook up the alternator or the inverter to the car and run something inside to power stuff that is, is going to take a lot more wattage than what this will put out. But I've also got my larger solar setup, which this would be useful for. But again, this is in here just because I know it's in here. I know it's going to be brand new when I use it, and I know it's going to work. So all in all, that's the whole kit right here. I'd love your guys' comments. If you guys have anything like this, let me know. If you guys have some sort of similar setup, but it's not necessarily in a toolbox or a lights out kit, let me know. But just a cool, something that we keep in our closet up here in the living room. And now that I've got this battery on it, it's something that I could pull out even when it's not a power outage. Say I'm just not near an outlet and I need to charge something. I can throw this on there. And it'll be fine. I was going to do a smaller version of this little battery setup right here, like an ammo can. This battery's just a little bit too tall for an ammo can though. So I've got to figure out, maybe I'll make my own box like I did with this piece of wood. I'll just make a whole box and make it look decent. Because when you if I were to set this whole thing on the coffee table, this whole toolbox, I don't know that Lisa would like that too much. But if it was something smaller that I could maybe slide under it when I wasn't using it and I could just use it for these, I think it would be fantastic. So I may get another one of these 20 amp hour batteries and make a smaller box, something that could be used around the house, not necessarily just for a disaster. But that's it for this. Like I said, if you have any thoughts, ideas, anything that I don't have in here that you would put in here, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I do new videos. I do live videos every week. But with that, take care and prepare, everyone. We'll talk to you all later.